Making that sweet, sweet 10K a month is what every online guru is shoveling to their audience right now, and it is the goal of many people, including you, because you clicked this video. I have made 10K a month selling realtors on video packages. I've also made 10K a month selling online coaching training programs fairly easily. But if you're the guy setting appointments with the closer, how realistic is it for that guy to make 10K a month? Well, on 5% commission selling a $10,000 offer, it would take you 16 sales a month with a $2,000 base, meaning that you would need to set 48 people on the calendar of a closer who closes at 35%. Meaning, if you work 5 days a week, you'd need to set 2.5 appointments per day to make that income. And just for context, my girlfriend, who is an appointment setter, she set 10 appointments today alone. So technically, she wouldn't have to work for like 3 days and she could still make her 10K a month.
Hey Farah, can you tell everyone how many appointments you set today?
10.
Thank you.
She does not like being on camera at all. Now, with all of that math out of the way, getting hired as a setter doesn't just mean you get hired and all of a sudden the boss is writing you a check for 10K. But after interviewing hundreds, literally hundreds of the top appointment setters in the industry, I have distilled 3 things that you can do in your first 30 days of an appointment setter that will statistically increase the likelihood, the maximum probability of you making $10,000 a month as an appointment setter in your first 30 days. And also shout out to Matt Moore, who is a legendary appointment setter who gave me a lot of these tips. Now, without further ado, let's dive into those 3 things right now.
As a setter, guys, you really only have 3 activities that you need to focus on to make more money. Number 1, getting people on the phone. So when a lead actually comes in through your company, how are you getting on the phone with them to talk with them so that you can set them with the closer? Right? How effective are you at doing that? Is like, I'd say like a really, really good team is able to get connected with, around 50% of their leads. Sometimes like numbers are inactive or they just can't get in touch with them for whatever reason. But like you're getting on phones, like on the phone with 50% of the people doesn't mean that you're actually booking 50%. We're going to go into that in a second. Second most profitable activity is being excellent on the phone. Right? Which is just like how skillful are you in your ability to triage the person and be able to create a sense of like desire to want to take action versus, if you guys have ever booked an appointment at like, I don't know, a restaurant or something like that, essentially like the hostess or the person on the phone is like an appointment setter. They're setting an appointment for your dinner, but there's no like commitment to actually showing up outside of just setting that reservation. If something else pops up better at a different restaurant or an opening, like you don't have any loyalty to them. So this is like how much sort of loyalty and sort of curiosity and excitement can you build on this phone so that they'll show up on the closing call. And that's going to directly affect your performance. And then number 3 here, how elite are you with your follow-up and nurturing process? So I have seen closers and setters make up half of their income through follow-up. And this is legitimately what separates like the average from like the really, really good, right? Is your ability to nurture these leads and work on them. This can take your income from like 5 to 10K as a setter in one single month, which we're going to get onto here in a second. Really, if you get good at these 3 things as a setter, you will take a lot of money. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about each of these things, what they look like, and what you can actually start to do and implement in very, very simple terms. Okay, so let's talk about getting people on the phone. What does that look like? You should adopt mantra of speed to lead, okay, which is basically like how quickly can you get on the phone with a person. Okay, so I heard this story from Alex Hermosi, who had this business client of his who they were getting a 50% lead to conversion rate, meaning that half of the people who wanted more information ended up buying their product, right? Not half booked an appointment, but actually bought, right? And when he asked the business owner what was the secret to this, he said that he was paying a woman $60,000 a year to pick up the phone and call a lead whenever a lead came in. And usually they'd have 3 leads come in like every day or something like that, right? And so at 3 random points during the day, she didn't know when, she could have been, doing grocery shopping, at a baseball game with her kids, having sex with her husband. Her only job was to stop whatever she was doing and pick up the phone and call that lead within 5 freaking minutes to get them connected. And that created such a high conversion rate. So if any of you guys have been on an offer, you know, like when you're in that setter chat, everyone's trying to get like the newest lead, like the newest thing coming in. And if you can get that lead like in a minute, you're going to crush it. You're going to crush it because they're always going to pick up the phone and say, oh, hey, like I'm literally on your YouTube page or whatever right now, and you just called me. And then you go through the process and you're like, yeah, I was actually in a meeting, just wrap that up. I actually wanted to call you sooner, but you got 5-10 minutes right now? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, so what brings you to the page? Like, what's going on? And you kind of run through that whole second process here, getting on the phone with them. Right? Now, if the person doesn't answer the phone right away, you call them within the first 5 minutes, right? You want to enter a 5-day sort of follow-up process with them. Okay. This is like a call, text, and voicemail sequence, right? So first thing you do, right? Call within 5 minutes of them coming in. If they don't answer, leave a voicemail saying that you just called, right? Something like, hey, it's Bob with Ethan E's team. Just tried to give you a ring. I saw you submitted information about how to become a remote setter or closer. Just shoot me a text back when you can, right? Then you leave a text message saying that you left a voicemail for them. And then what that does is if they leave a text message and then they check their voicemail and then they hear your voice, that lets them know like, oh, this guy's like a real freaking person trying to get in touch with me. And he's not, a robot, or he's not like some telemarketer from some like, Indian country, which, if you're from India, like it's fine. You just got some more work to do. But you get what I'm saying. Quite a few people have been scammed by India. So your flags go up a little bit. And then you just repeat that daily for like 5 days, right? I would even like the first day that they come in, you call them like 3 or 4 times in a single day. Call them in the morning, call them in the afternoon. I'd say like, I'm going to add that in here. Day 1, call morning, afternoon, plus evening. Okay. Because on average, I mean, you might have to contact a lead, maybe not on average, but you're probably going to have to contact a lead like 7 times through 7 different touch points before they're going to move forward with you. That's 7, either texts, emails, or calls, right? And the first day that they come in, it's so important. I had one lead that my sales team called like 12 times in a day because we weren't communicating whose lead it was. And so they ended up getting on the phone with her in the evening, and she's like, hello? And they're like, yeah, is this Julie? And she's like, yes. And am I in trouble? What why are you calling me so many times? And we're like, no, you're not in trouble. We're just, reaching out about your application. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then it was like completely fine. But I mean, yeah, I'd say like in the first 5 days, you just want to be a savage. Like really call them, really text them, really just do everything in your power to try to get in touch with this lead, right? Speed to lead. Okay.
Yeah. So like, what if you're just a normal person and you're not necessarily like wanting to be living that kind of lifestyle where you're on the phone all day and you kind of want to be abiding by a schedule? What's your recommendation there?
Yeah, it's like what kind of schedule do you want to live? You know what I mean? Like the thing is, dude, is like most offers, you're not just going to have 3 leads a day where you have to like be on standby for those 3 leads. Most offers, you're going to have tons of leads coming in on a daily basis so that you can kind of pick and choose when you want to call leads, right? So for example, my girlfriend, Vera, right? She's on an offer right now as a setter, and she's trying to figure out the schedule, what works best for her. She's in Pacific Standard Time, right? All the way over here. When she's, in the evening making dials, everyone else is asleep because they're all on Eastern Standard Time. Some guys in Portugal, right? And she's figured out that if she calls later in the evening, she's going to make a lot more money because less people are dialing, other setters are dialing, than if she calls in like the mornings, right? So she just engineered her schedule where like she has a very slow morning, hops on her sales meeting in the morning, dials for maybe an hour, right? But then breaks for like 3-4 hours, comes back at lunch for a couple hours, breaks, and then comes back in the evening for like 3 hours to pound it out. If you're the only setter on the offer though, right, then it's a little bit different because they're going to want you to like be flexible during work hours, 9 till 5 hours, whatever, like always be there. But if you have a lot of setters on your team, the benefit is that you guys can cover multiple time zones and areas. So one person can call this time, and it doesn't really make a difference. The thing is, Manny, is like as long as you're hitting your KPIs of, let's say, 5 appointments per day, they do not care when you work. Second activity, right, which is just being excellent on the phone. That's like the majority of what we cover inside this program is like how, why, and what you can say in your script to make sure that the person's actually like engaged and they feel like they actually have a real problem that they're looking to solve, right? So really be excellent on the phone. It's just like follow a proven script that creates these 4 things, right? Number 1 is urgency to show up on the call so that you're not creating no-shows. Like as a setter, I mean, that's a huge priority for you. If you're setting appointments and less than 70% are showing up, then you're in the red and you got to fix some stuff. But if you're between like 70 to like 85, 90%, you're like doing well. And then if you're at a 90+% show rate, then like you're like really like world-class setter. Like you're really doing everything you can to make sure they show up, right? And so here are a couple of things that you can do to make sure that you're having like really good conversations, right? So the cliffhanger thing is this idea that you don't want to be the guy who answers all their questions on the setter call, because if they have all their information, they're not going to want to show up. It's the same way that like when you watch your favorite TV show and they leave every episode with like a cliffhanger and you want to watch like the next episode, or like at the end of the season, they leave a huge cliffhanger and you have to wait a whole freaking year until you watch the rest of the season. But like you're going to show up at the end of that year because the cliffhanger was so good. So it's the same way when like a prospect asks you sort of like these questions about the program. It's like, yeah, answer their question, but redirect the response of that question more so to the closer. So if they're like, yeah, I want to do this, but I want to just make sure, that I can, like, does your program allow you to do this, while I'm in school? Or like, how does that work? You want to be like, yeah, I mean, that's actually exactly why we designed this program, so that you can like do this alongside like a job, and that's also why like I want you to, talk with Jake, because like once you get on with Jake, he's going to go through the exact process we've taken like 30 to 40 people in the last year, from like going to school to getting 6-pack abs in the meantime. And she's like, oh, okay. So that answers her question, but it doesn't give her like all the secret sauce. Like especially price. You don't want to drop price. That's like the worst thing you can drop, because then they probably won't show up. Basically, when you're asking these like financially qualifying questions, you're going to either have like soft financial qualifiers or like hard direct financial qualifiers, right? So soft questions are like, what do you do for work now? And you can even like Google like what is the median sort of income of like those sort of jobs. Right? This is the one that we have in the script right now. Like, what do you need to make in order to replace the income you have right now? That only works with like sort of like investment offers where you're going to be making money. It doesn't work so much with like a gym offer. Some more direct ones, like, are you willing to invest in the growth of your business? You have to be like, yes, no, why not? What's your yearly income? You do not want to ask that, just willy-nilly, because that can create sales resistance where they're like, oh, this guy is really just directing all his questions around my finances. Like, he doesn't really care about me. He just wants to know my income. Do you have X to put down as a deposit if this is like 10 out of 10 for what you're looking for? What is your credit score? Same thing with this. Do you currently have any loans, debts, or have you ever like filed for bankruptcy? Right? That's like like the very, very direct one as well. So I would dabble around with a couple of these to ask it indirectly. And you're really just framing it like, hey, I mean, like what we're doing here, like we don't run a charity. You know, there is an investment involved, and it all depends on like what exactly you're looking for. Sounds like this would be a perfect option for you. But just so we both have like clarity on the same picture here for you, you know, if this was like a 10 out of 10 option for you and like going out of pocket wasn't an option for you, like would you be open to looking at financing?
Yeah. And at what point do we bring that stuff up?
If you only have 15 leads a day, bro, I would, because it's not that much. You know what I mean? So you can't be like super picky, right? So
Yeah.
I would probably ask the financial qualifiers more towards the end or like middle of the call.
Yeah, I tend to do that.
Yeah. Whereas like, you know, setters who make a lot of fucking money, dude, like they're qualifying financially like right away. And as soon as they hear like some bad thing, like they're kind of like next lead, you know, they're saying like, okay, let me just send you this thing. But that's just because they have so much to work with. Urgency, cliffhanger. Next up, scarcity, taking action now. This is using verbiage in your script where instead of just saying like, hey, when do you want to, you know, hop on with Bob? Like we got 3 p.m., we got 4 p.m., we got 5 p.m., we got 6 p.m. And now they're thinking like, oh, geez, like these guys got a lot of times available. Like there must be like not a lot of people. If you're free, he's like free after work or whatever. And you're like, okay, cool. My guy Bob has, now I just gotta like do the whole, I'm going to do like the whole tonality thing again. Okay. So you're like, it's like, yeah. So I see here Bob has like an onboarding call at 6 p.m. And you know, I could move things around so that you guys could get like connected. But you know, to be honest, like we only work with like serious people who are like taking their fitness seriously and like wanna do this. So if I move those around to make sure that you guys can like just like get connected 100%, like you're gonna show up and make sure you're there. He's like, yeah, 100%. Like I'll do that. Because now he feels like he's getting something special. The thing you don't want to do here is like, you don't want to be like, if you imagine like you were taking a girl out on a date and it's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. And she's like, okay, great. And then you're like, yeah, but like you're going to show up. Like you're not going to flake on me, right? Like you're going to be there at 6 p.m. Like make sure like 100%, you know? She's going to be like, oh, geez, this guy's like really weird. Like maybe I shouldn't show up. He's a little desperate. So there's a little bit of a fine line there that you want to take on your script. Just you want to have a script that paints a very clear picture of their problem. This incentivizes them to show up because they're like, holy crap, I actually have something in my heart here that sucks. And if I don't change it, I'm going to seek some serious pain, some serious problems. And most of the time, humans are motivated to move away from pain than they are toward pleasure. So if you can paint a picture for them how either terrible their life's going to be if they continue having this problem, or how nice their life's going to be when they are able to remove this problem, which they can't do on their own, then you've got a great set call because you're basically saying like, well, I can't do that for you. Bob can, right? So you want to show up with Bob because like he's an expert at this stuff and he can give you the guide. He can give you the map. And then lastly here, if you can do something like, this is kind of a bonus one, like if it's sort of fun or like lighthearted joking, that can add something to the call. Where like I've heard of like a buddy setter of mine named Jake Ferry. He talked about how he used to have this like inside joke with a closer buddy of his who like the closer was in the space for like 6 years. He was like ancient and he was like super old. And he'd always make fun of it for him. So like when he was on the phone, he'd be like, okay, cool. So you and Jake are set for like 6 p.m. And could you actually want to be on like an inside joke with me? And he's like, yeah, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, so I joke all the time with Jake about how he's like super old in this space because I think he's been doing this for like 6 years at this point. If you like tell him that or mention that, I think it would like make him pull out his hair, man. It'd be super hilarious. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, sure. And then like they end up hopping on and like he would say the thing to Jake in like the opening of the call. There was like one lead who was saying like, oh yeah, I wasn't like even really serious about doing anything. I just wanted to hop on the call to like, you know, make that joke or whatever and just kind of have some fun. But then after like 30 minutes, I kind of realized like, oh yeah, like this is actually exactly what I'm looking for. And like ended up moving forward. So something like that I think could actually work really great. And it kind of shows like, yeah, these guys, it's kind of different. This is like a new sort of like thing that I'm not used to and used to like experiencing. And these guys clearly like they have a culture and they're friends, like scam artists and stuff. They don't really care about their teammates or people. They're just like super money motivated. Right. So if you add something like that, I think that goes a long way.
And in regards to like the education, transference of education to the prospect, assuming they're a top of funnel, like what do you kind of do there? How do you balance that on the call? Because I know you mentioned you don't want to give away all the sauce.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to coach them. You don't want to coach them or anything, dude. You're just making them feel emotions, man. Like that's a very common like mistake I see a lot of beginner setters do is like they'll get in the call. Well, one, they'll get in the call and they'll start doing these things of like, oh man, like your grandma lives in Wisconsin. My grandma lives in Wisconsin too. Oh no way, we're like grandma buddies. Like that's like fake rapport. It's like don't talk about yourself, just talk about them. And two, it's like don't give them coaching in this call because it's like they can't get coached on a problem that they don't even like feel they need to solve yet. You just need to like empathize with them and really have them like understand and connect with like why their goals are important to them or why this is a problem worth solving. Right. Because then once you get there, like then like you're not the coach. You're just a guy that's friends with the coach.
Yeah. So if the person has no idea what high ticket sales is, I don't tell them what it is.
Oh no. Oh, okay. Okay. So that's what you mean. No. I'm sorry. Yes, you do. Because here's the thing. It's like if you can set a deal with your closer, right? And it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're selling like a keto diet program or high ticket sales or how to become a social media marketing agency owner, if you can sell them on the vehicle for that closer, it's so much work off the closer's back, just done, right? Because at that point, they already know that they want to be a high ticket closer. They just need to understand like, well, how do I do it? And like, why do I actually want to do this thing? Right. And so I'd focus the conversation on more so like, well, why do they want what they want? Like focus on their goals, like their income, lifestyle, dreams, why that's important to them. And then before you make the set, you can have like a spiel where you're like, hey, do you mind if I give you, my thoughts? And they're like, sure. And you're like, okay, this is why I think X makes perfect sense for you. Because number one, you said you wanted to travel. This is completely remote. Two, you said you wanted 10K a month. This, boom, you can make that. You said, and then you connect all their wants with why the vehicle makes sense. And then you tie them down on that and say like, yeah, so do you feel like this is now like the place that you need to be and where you need to go? On a scale of 1 to 10, like how, sold would you say you are in remote closing? Last point here I want to cover, guys, is the follow-up / nurturing process and how you should actually be following up with leads to make deals. Some setters only call new leads to make their money. They're not following up with any of the thousands of leads that are in the pipeline. But there's literally tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting there. And it's your job to reactivate and nurture those leads. And this is like so valuable if you're looking to get hired as a setter and they're asking, what about you is valuable? Why should I hire you? And you say, because I know how to reactivate old leads. I know how to sell old leads and get them back on the calendar. Like, whoa, we've got like 20,000 leads and you can reactivate them. It's like 100% I can. Here's some basic stuff of what you can do. So if you guys remember over here, the first section here was just getting people on the phone and doing your best in the first 5 days to get them on the phone, like just going crazy savage mode, calling and texting and emailing them like every day for 5 days. After that 5-day period, if they're older than 5 days, you want to enter them into some kind of like 10-day tech sequence with different angles. And this can be completely automated. So if they don't have this set up in your company, you can set this up for them and help with the copy, right? So every 2 days, you would send them a text, right? So first text is you leaning in and being like, hey, I saw you sent an application, to become, a growth operator. You still looking to do that or has like something changed? Number two, sending a free resource. Just sending them over some kind of YouTube video or organic post, some kind of value and just being like, hey, if you want to see like the 3 secrets to success in running a drop shipping store, we made a full video. You can check it out here. Or like, hey, on your application, you said you were looking to make 10K a month. Here's a full guide on how to make 10K a month in 30 days. 3. So again, like this is day 1. This is like day 3. This is day 5 is the testimonial, right? Where you're just sending over, hey, you want to see how Bob made $13,000 a month in 30 days, check out this, right? Or I can send you the full thing. Just like text me back and I'll send it over to you. All of these responses, we're just trying to get some kind of like response from them so that we can call them up again and say, hey, what did you think about, Bob? What did you think about that resource I sent out? Great. I'm glad you're still looking for help. Tell me exactly what, you're looking to do here. Then we hit them with a funny one, right? And the funny one can be like a meme. You send them something like, what's that like, that meme from Lord of the Rings, like Aragorn, where it's like one does not simply give up on their fitness. One does not simply stop wanting to make money online, or whatever the thing is. Just some kind of funny thing to see if that gets a response. And you'd be surprised how often like that actually just works. I had this one guy on my IG. He sent me like 30 memes to reactivate me over like 100 days, and I just saved like all of them because they were like all so good. You can have like a whole bank of these funny memes saved up, and honestly just be hitting people with this consistently. And then last one, number 5, is like a lean out message. It's like, hey, this is the last time I'm going to reach out for you to a little bit. We're getting pretty busy over here. Just wanted to check in one final time to make sure you weren't still looking for help. Some language here. I want to give you guys some help. The last thing I just said there, you weren't still looking for help, right? It's actually better to get a no from someone than a yes, right? And if you read this book, Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff, he talks about the psychology of humans, about how like when you say yes to someone, you feel like you are like you're contractually sort of agreeing with them, right? Whereas if you say no, it feels like you're the one in control, like you're controlling the conversation, right? So, I mean, another question, that might not be the best question as an example, like you weren't still interested. They're gonna be like, no, I'm not interested, because then you just burnt that lead. Like, hey, did you land a position yet in this? No. Hey, did you end up watching this video? Hey, did you end up doing this thing? The thing that they almost definitely did not do. So you say, no, no, no. Oh, why not? It's like, oh, I thought you wanted to do this. It's like, oh. Also, a small tip is like when you're sending text messages, don't send anything more than like 3 sentences. I think HubSpot or some kind of sales CRM did a whole like 1 million person survey on this data thing. And they noticed that if you sent longer than like 3 sentences, the response rate was like under 2%, right? Like if you're sending some like super long thing with like paragraphs and paragraphs, like chances are they're just not going to read this thing and they're just going to skip it. So like keep it 1 to 2, max 3 sentences, like very, very short, where someone can like skim it and like read it almost right away. If leads are older than 30 days, so this is the secret to how you reactivate all their like old leads. So you can do like these on-off blasts once a week, or really even more if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be once a week, but it creates a good cadence if it's once a week. You can do like what we were talking about before, just direct texts with free resources, testimonials, webinars, got any questions answered, still looking into XYZ. Basically, yeah, just sending out a text blast. Number 2, you can get the owner of your business, like the face of the business, to drop a voicemail, which we actually just did that today in my business. So some of you guys might have a voicemail for me. We do a voicemail drop plus a text. So you get the owner of your business to create a voicemail just saying like, hey, like the owner would say something like, hey, just tried to call you. I'm just checking in to see like if you're still interested in, learning how to get a 6-pack abs and drop some weight. Shoot me over a text back if you are. And then you leave a text saying like, hey, I just shot you over a voicemail. Are you still looking to like cut some weight? 3 here is shoot over an email blast and then set up a trigger to alert you when someone opens the email. And that one's huge because you can send over like tons of emails and then you get tons of open rates. You want to call them up right away. It's like, hey, did you see the email that we just sent out? I saw the email and
I read about it. Hey, did you read all the way through it? Did you see like the free resource that we give at the end of it? It's like, no, were you still looking to XYZ? Like, yeah, they're not. Like, it's just, we just want to like open up the door with them again and just see if there's like, but basically what we're going for is like, we just want to get a definite no or a definite yes. Like, just keep contacting them until they give you like a hard no or like a hard, yeah, you're right, I need to do something about this. But if they don't give you either of those things, I wouldn't throw that lead away unless they give you a hard yes or no, or unless you've completely like qualified them financially and they're like never going to be a client of yours. I mean, never say never, but like some guys are like pretty bad situations that are like really hard to fix. You're like, I can't help this.
We're here in Switzerland.